We're going to show how to use the XGS to protect critical infrastructure. This is a use case that was created by our friend Vladimir Jeremic. So this is a machine that is critical to the operations. We cannot withstand vulnerabilities from being active in there. And let's say that what we want to do in this case, and this is just an example, you can make variations on it, is actually to get the XGS to automatically block services and ports when vulnerabilities are found on those. And to launch the vulnerabilities, we're going to use the QVN module in QRadar, and it's actually going to scan that particular box, and the scanner is going to find vulnerabilities, and a message is going to be generated on a new vulnerability found, and that's common in QRadar. But we're going to use that message to actually trigger an offense, and the offense is actually going to be sending a JSON formatted message to an IDI, an IBM Directory Integrator, which is listening on port 1198. And when it sees that a message comes on that port, it wakes up and says, "Oh, there's something for me." And when it sees it, and there is going to be indication of which ports are vulnerable. It's actually going to be sending a message to the XGS asking it to block or to quarantine those specific entry points. So the first thing that we'll do is we go here on the vulnerabilities tab in QRadar, and we're going to launch the scanner. And this scanner is going to take a while. It's a full credential scan, so it's going to take a while. While it does run, let me show you some other things. So here is the IDI system. As you can see, has a listener on port 1198, and this is the one that's going to wake up when it receives the message from QRadar. This is the XGS. We're going to go to the console to it. We also have the vulnerable server machine here. We're not going to be doing much with it because all the action is going to be done at the XGS, but that's where the actual device is. Let's go into the XGS, and here in the quarantine we went to secure policy configuration, active quarantine rules, and we see that nothing is being quarantined, and that's going to change when the results of the scan finishes and the offense fires. So let's actually go ahead and then take a look at the rule that is going to create such an offense. Let's take a look in detail. And what this rule does is when the source IP is the vulnerable system machine, we don't want this rule to be evaluated on every condition. And the QID is precisely the QID that QRadar has already defined when a new vulnerability is found on a host. What is going to happen is an offense is going to be firing, as we'll see here, and we're going to be forwarding a message, as we see here, with a send to forwarding destination to this listener that we have. That's the address of the IDI machine on that specific port, and the protocol is JSON. And just for completeness, while the scan runs, to make all this work, you need to define a forwarding destination. So we went here to the admin console and went here, and this is where we added that forwarder. I'm going to pause the video until the scanner finishes up. So the scan finished, and we see here a couple of messages that were sent based on the vulnerabilities found on port 80, point 0, 21, and all these ports. So that should give us an offense that should have fired. Let me actually go to the offenses tab, and sure enough, we have the offense that fires on that. And we see that the IDI did what it's supposed to be doing. It creates those rules, and it's been sent to to the XGS. So let's take a look at the XGS console and see if the quarantine rules have been set. And here they are. One important point is that this message about new vulnerabilities found are only going to come up, obviously, not after every scan when a new vulnerability is found that it wasn't there before. So should the user install, somebody installs a new application on the vulnerable machine and has, again, some intrinsic vulnerabilities. Once those are found by the scanner, then those, let's say that it found a vulnerability on a specific new port, well, a new quarantine rule is going to be issued for that specific port. Should you consider that you don't want that particular quarantine to be established, well, you can actually go ahead and delete it, and that's going to override the quarantine. The traffic is going to be allowed, but that's something that you manually need to do. Again, an example of automation between XGS and QRadar.